Very good morning, dear students. We have been discussing unit number 6. The first topic we have already discussed with the example sulfur leaching. And the next important type of leaching that is commonly happening in the ecosystem, that is copper leaching. And this is the next example of microbial leaching. So microbial leaching, bioleaching of copper compounds we are going to discuss in this particular class. So before we will go to the details about copper leaching, we should discuss some basic and preliminary aspects of copper, what you have already known. That is, copper is a chemical that is commonly present in the environment, and it is a chemical, the formula is Cu, and an atomic number is 29. Okay, the atomic number of copper is 29, and it is a soft metal with glowing electrical conductivity and somewhat flexible in its pure state, and has a reddish pinkish gleam. Okay, and this is a soft metal with a flexibility and has a reddish pink gleam we are seeing. We are already seeing that the ornaments that is made up of copper or copper utensils with a little bit reddish pink gleam. Okay, and that is the important speciality of copper. And copper is a good electrical conductor, and we can conduct electricity very well. Thermal conductor, the conductivity of the heat, and as a building matter and as an ingredients of variety of copper products. And copper is a crucial nutrient to the higher plants and animals. And in the case of animals, the copper is mainly present in the bloodstream as a cofactor in variety of enzymes. Okay, and lots of copper-based pigments are also present. But in the enormous quantity, copper can be lethal and noxious. Okay, that is, dangerous to the health. But because of all those reasons, the copper need to be extracted in the pure form, and that will be make use of the environmental microbiology aspects. And the bioleaching of copper and its derivatives, copper leaching, that is copper processing, it's somewhat complicated approach which begins from the mining of the ore. Okay, mining of the copper ore, which consisting of only 1% of copper, and ends with a sheet of 99.99% of pure copper. Okay, from that is what the importance of bioleaching. Okay, so bioleaching is the first step of copper extraction, where we are using the microbiological approach. Okay, so that is, the parent ore has only 1% copper, and we are going to get a 99.99% pure form of copper at the end of the process. And the most common type of copper ores are copper oxide and copper sulfide. Okay, copper oxide and copper sulfide. And yesterday we have discussed about the bioleaching of sulfur. And most of the cases, the bioleaching of sulfur and copper, that is taking place in a common platform by thiobacillus thioxidans and thiobacillus fructidans. Okay, and which undergo two different processes. One is hydrometallurgy and next one is pyrometallurgy. Okay, so these are the two important areas of metallurgy, hydrometallurgy and pyrometallurgy. And the copper oxides are the most abundant components in the earth surface, but it is considered to be very low grade ore and which has only lower concentration of copper. So that is why we are not preferring copper oxide for a bioleaching ore. Okay, and but in the case of copper sulfide, these copper sulfides are less abundant. They are not that much abundant, but they consist. They have a they contain high concentration of copper. Okay, high concentration of the copper. So that is why we are using copper sulfides as the ore of the copper for the bioleaching. And the major sulfide ores of coppers are the major sulfur derivative ores of coppers are chalcocite, that is known as Cu2S. Okay, copper sulfide. Next one is chalcopyrite, copper iron sulfide. The next one is cobalt, copper sulfide. Okay, and generally, if you talk the simple overview of the bioleaching of the copper, that process is known as dump or heap leaching. Okay, and dump or heap leaching are the major approach for the bioleaching of copper, and this is the first step in the copper extraction. Okay, the industrial level. And in biotechnological aspect, we can use in situ bioleaching process also. So here the sulfuric acid, that is lower concentration of diluted sulfuric acid, is percolated down through the pile, and the liquid that is come to the bottom of the pile that reach in the mineral. Okay, and that liquid will be collected and transported to the precipitation plant, and finally the metal will be precipitated and purified. So this is the just a fundamental aspect of copper leaching. That is, we are sulfuric acid is percolating, and the liquid that will be collected at the bottom of the pile, and that liquid will be having the minerals. Okay, and that liquid will be transported to the precipitation plant, and later the metal will be precipitated and purified. Okay, now we will see the detailed steps of copper extraction. Okay, so please note that if you are talking about the copper extraction, there are several steps, but we are in environmental microbiology point of view, we are going to discuss only the microbial based approaches. Okay, in general, the copper extraction or copper mining has three important steps. One is heap or dump leaching. This is the first and most important step where microbiology role is happening. Second one is solvent extraction. Third one is electrowinning. Okay, and this flowchart here you can see the overview, the complete steps, major steps that is required for the copper extraction, starting from the mining. Okay, first the mining will be happening to the mines. Okay, copper mines. Okay, once it is mined, then it will be transported. Then the primary crushing will be done. Okay, one is the oxides of ore, next one is the sulfides of ore. I told you we are going to use hydrometallurgy and pyrometallurgy. If we are using the oxides of ore, then that is known as hydrometallurgy. And if you use sulfides of ore, then the process is known as pyrometallurgy. Okay, then if the sulfide ore that we are not going to discuss. Okay, so generally sulfide ore, it will be going the froth flotation, thickening, smelting, and electrolysis. Okay, so this is the in the case of sulfide ore. And the same thing, okay, the oxides of ore, okay, that is we are going to use the hydrometallurgy, where heap leaching, solvent extraction, and electrowinning. Okay, here also sulfide ore also can be done by using this particular approach, and this particular approach can be used for both the process. Finally, you will be getting the product 99.99% pure copper metal. Okay, initially when you are starting, it will be in the form of ore, it will be having only 1% of pure form of copper. Okay, so this is the most important thing. So all those things we are not going to discuss. Okay, this many part we are not going to discuss. We are going to discuss only this part, that is the industrial aspect. So in the first step, a heap or dump leaching, solvent extraction step, electrowinning are the major steps of copper extraction that can be used for both oxide form and sulfide form. Okay, and in this 3 steps, the first step, heap or dump leaching will be having the microbiological role. Okay, now we will discuss all the 3 steps very briefly. So the heap leaching, it is widely used for the extraction of all the low grade metals, okay, such as copper, gold, silver and uranium. Okay, so all the low grade metal, heap or dump leaching is the common approach. So it is a process of using, as I mentioned in the beginning, percolated chemical solution to leach out the metal. Okay, so we are adding the percolated chemical solution such as dilute sulfuric acid to leach out the metal. Okay, so following mining, transporting and crushing, as we have seen here, the mining, transporting and crushing, what you will be getting? You will be getting a consistent gravel or golf ball size crushed ore. Okay, gravel or golf ball size crushed ore that is piled into a heap. Okay, piled into a heap on the top of an impenetrable layer on a slight slope. Okay, in a little bit of slope there will be ores will be piled up and form a heap, and that is why it is known as a heap leaching. So more detail about the heap. What is this heap? Okay, that is a copper leaching. That is after mining, first it should mine from the place and should be transported and it should be crushed. Primary crushing should be done and you will be having a gravel or golf ball size crushed ore. Okay, that crushed ore will be piling. Okay, that means to approximate, that will be having approximately the piling broken ore, the crushed ore that will be consisting of 0.5% of copper approximately into flat surface. Okay, that can be done into a flat surface approximately 3 to 10 meter in height, that has a 104 to 105 meter square heap of ore. Okay, that is known as a heap. Okay, I hope you understood what you mean by a heap. Okay, so then the leaching reagent, especially dilute sulfuric acid, that is known as the lixiviant. Yesterday we have discussed the indirect bioleaching mechanism. Okay, and I forgotten to mention here the copper leaching also can be done by using both direct leaching and indirect leaching. Okay, so here the indirect leaching is the most important method. So where the dilute sulfuric acid, that is known as a lixiviant. We have discussed what is a lixiviant. Okay, and that will be sprayed through sprinklers on the top of the heap pile and allowed to trickle down through the heap. Okay, where it dissolves the copper from the ore. Okay, that is the first step. So the lixiviant, dilute sulfuric acid, will be sprayed through sprinkler on the top of the heap. Okay, and allowed to trickle down through the heap, and where it extract the copper from the ore. Okay, and you will be having the resultant solution. So that resultant solution, that is leachate, is known as a pregnant leachate. Okay, or pregnant solution. Okay, that mainly consisting of the solution of sulfuric acid and copper sulfate. Okay, sulfuric acid and copper sulfate, and that pregnant solution will be collected into a small pond or a pool. Okay, and generally this pregnant leach contains 1 to 5 kg of copper, M raised to -3. Okay, so this much concentration of copper will be there in the pregnant solution, and the copper can be also observed at a concentration between 60 to 70%. Okay, so this is known as the heap leaching. So whatever I have told, the entire process here, this is the impenetrable layer. Okay, as I said it is an impenetrable layer. Okay, impenetrable layer we have discussed. Okay, and that is the penetrable layer and there you can see a slight slopes have made. Here you can see a slight slope it is made, and what will happen? Then using the ore approximately 3 to 10 meter height, okay, 3 to 10 meter crushed ore of heap, okay, this is the heap, okay. Through the heap only, using the sprinklers, we are adding the chemical diluted sulfuric acid, okay. The acid, here we are adding the percolated chemical solution, that is diluted sulfuric acid through this particular heap, okay, or dump, okay. Then what will happen? This sulfuric acid it will be sprayed and trickle down, okay, trickle down. Then what will happen? It will trickle down, then it will be leaching out, okay, to a particular pond, this collecting pond. This is known as a pregnant leaching solution. And this pregnant leaching solution consisting of, as I mentioned here, sulfuric acid and copper sulfate, okay. So this is the leaching of a metal, and this particular step is a pure microbiological step. Here we are adding the microorganism. Here comes the microbiology of the leaching. And later, once the pregnant leachate, what will happen? The next step it is solvent extraction, okay. Then where they are going to, consisting of 60 to 70% of the pure copper in solution goes to the solvent extraction. Then there will be mixing will be happening between immiscible liquid, and finally the extracted copper will be subjected to electrowinning, okay. So this is the overall process, okay. So here we are interested in the first step, heap leaching, okay. So that is the important step. Second one, solvent extraction. So here the solvent extraction is a process of separating the liquids, okay, acids, that from the between two immiscible, that is means to say unblendable or unmixable solutions, okay. Two immiscible, unmixing or unblended liquids are stirred and allowed to separate, causing the copper to move from one liquid to another, okay. So as we can see here, this is the copper in the liquid, okay, and it is a mixing solution, okay. So the copper will be present, and then it will be separated between two immiscible solution, and the pregnant leach solution is mixed vigorously with the solvent. Then the copper will be migrated from the leach solution into the solvent, and the two immiscible liquids are allowed to separate the copper and the acids based on the solubility, with the copper remains in the solution in the solvent and the impurities remains in the leach solution. So when you are doing this step, solvent extraction, immiscible two liquids are allowed to separate based on the solubility, with the copper remains in the solution of the solvent and impurities will be settled in the leach solution. And the leftover solution, leach solution, will be recycled by adding additional acid, probably sulfuric acid, and sending it back to the sprinklers in the heap leaching process, okay. So this particular things, that is what I told you, the leftover leach solution will be recycled, and it will be, after this particular process, it will be gone to the sprinklers, okay. And this is the process, and that is known as and back to the sprinklers in the heap leaching process. So this is known as solvent extraction. So once the solvent extraction, the extracted copper will go to the next step called electrowinning, okay. So the electrowinning step, this is a type of electrolysis, okay. An electrical current pass through the positively charged electrode, and the electrical current pass through the positive electrode and through the copper solution from the previous step, which act as the electrolyte, okay. The copper solution from the previous step, it will be act as the electrolyte, and this will be the positive electrode will be act as the positive electrodes, the electric current pass through the positive electrode through the copper solution, which is act as the electrolyte. and the positively charged copper ion then comes out of the solution and plated to the negatively charged electrode. Here you can see this is the copper sulfate solution. Okay, so this is the anode. Okay, this is the inert anode, and the solution consisting of the positively charged copper ion that migrates towards the negative electrode. Okay, it will migrate towards all the, because it is consisting of Cu2 plus. Okay, it goes to the negatively charged electrode. Okay, so the negatively charged electrode. So this then it will be act as the cathode, and there 99.99% of the pure form of the copper will be settled. Pure form of the copper will be collected. Okay, that is known as electrowinning process. Then in the case of the copper leaching, the entire mechanism, okay, I have told you we are interested in the first step. Among these three steps, we are interested in the first step, where here what is the process happening. Okay, here only the microbiology applications are happening, and these two, the other two steps are industrial process. That is why I told you, without microbiology based process, industry process cannot be speed up actually. So that is the importance of microbial based process. Okay, so there are three important, I told you, three important process. Here we are not going to discuss the copper oxide based leaching, we are going to discuss the copper sulfide based leaching. So the first, there are three important component we can use for the extraction. One is chalcocite, that is copper sulfide, then chalcopyrite, copper iron sulfide, then covalite. Okay, this is CuS. Okay, so that is, these are the three important component we can use as a copper ore. In the first step, chalcocite or copper sulfate leaching. Okay, so here the chalcocite is oxidized to soluble form of the copper. Okay, that is CuS. It is aerobic process by using microbial reaction. Here you can see microorganisms, microbial reaction. Then what will happen? By oxidation, it will convert into CuS. Okay, cuprous oxide, copper sulfide plus this copper will be released out plus water. And this one, the copper sulfide, okay, immediately it combines with a ferric ion. Okay, then here ion oxidizing bacteria will be playing a very vital role in presence of water. Then the copper will be extracted out. Then 8Fe, the ion also will be extracted out, and sulfate and hydrogen will be released out. Okay, they forms a sulfuric acid, and they will be released out. And next one is the iron and copper. Okay, here you can see iron plus Cu2 plus, then there will be a charge shift. Okay, so the 2 plus will be shifted to iron, that will be converted into ferrous form. Okay, then copper will be released out. Then the Fe2 plus is transported to the oxidation pond, where this will be converted into a ferric ion. Okay, so here Fe plus 1/4 oxygen plus H plus gives Fe3 plus by half O2. Okay, so this is the reaction of production of copper from the chalcocite, copper sulfide by microorganism. These two steps, thiobacillus thioxidants and thiobacillus peroxidants are acting. Then the second one is the covalite, copper sulfide leaching. Okay, so that is starting from the second step. Okay, the same thing here we can see. Okay, the copper sulfide combines with the ferric ion in presence of water. Okay, in presence of water, then forms a copper. Here it is ion oxidizing bacteria will be played a very important role. Okay, so copper plus then 8Fe plus SO4 and 8H. Okay, the copper is removed, then the iron and copper will be combined to form copper plus Fe2 plus. Then the Fe2 plus is transported to the oxidation pond, iron plus oxygen, then ferric ion. This ferrous ion will be converted into ferric ion plus water will be produced. Then the third step, here you can see the third step, where the copper leaching, we can see the chalcopyrite, copper sulfate sulfur, copper iron sulfate leaching will be happening. This we have already discussed yesterday as a part of sulfur leaching. This is happening by both iron oxidizing and sulfur oxidizing bacteria. Here, this is the chalcopyrite. Okay, both the copper and iron, copper and sulfur also will be leaching from this particular component. Okay, so the copper iron sulfide plus iron oxidation, this first step. Okay, for Fe3, then copper 2 plus and iron in the ferrous state and free. This is spontaneous process, and later the iron, okay, the iron will be Fe2 plus in presence of oxygen and hydrogen that convert into iron the ferric state. Okay, so the ferric state, then water. So that is there iron oxidizing bacteria will be playing a very vital role. Then the sulfur combines with oxygen and water, it forms sulfate and hydrogen, and this sulfate and hydrogen produces sulfuric acid. They will be leached out. Then the net reaction is the copper iron sulfate CuFeS2 plus 4O2. Here we will be having the Cu2 plus, then iron 2 plus. The free copper is produced here. Okay, and sulfate. Okay, so this is the third major approaches for the copper leaching. Okay, in addition to these three things, we can see copper oxide also, but I told you copper oxide is most abundantly present, but the concentration of the copper will be it will be very less in the case of copper oxide. So that is why we are using copper sulfide. Okay, then the next one is this is the schematic. I wanted to show you a schematic representation if you wanted to draw a diagram. So this is the pit of or source of ore. Okay, and it will be the ore will be prepared. Okay, from the source or a mined region, the ore will be prepared. Then this is the a layer of impenetrable barrier. There slight heap will be a slight slope over that heap will be produced. The ore will be produced. Then the application of the dilute sulfuric acid in the form of a sprinkler. Okay, and the heap will be leached. Actually, that solution, the pregnant solution, along with the copper sulfate and iron, that sulfate will be, the copper sulfate will be collected, and what will happen? Then this is a pregnant pond, and it will send it to the recovery plant where the metal will be extracted. Then later the barren pond. Okay, then where it affects effective pH, carbon and nitrogen and water, all those content, and it will be recycled to the process. Okay, unleached solution will be recycled. Okay, and this is the diagrammatic representation of the process, and where the microbiology aspects are happening. So once again we are going to see the role of the heap leaching in terms of microbiology based approach. First step, here you can see the leaching, the iron, the ferric form, then acidic leaching solution oxidizes insoluble copper sulfide. Okay, copper plus 2 and soluble copper sulfide. Okay, here Cu plus 2, Cu2 plus. Okay, so this is the first step. Okay, and here you can see this is the oxygen generated pond. Okay, oxygen generated pond, the leachate, that will be here you can sulfuric acid will be sprinkler. Okay, this is the heap, whatever I have told, this heap, and the leach dump of the, and here the sulfuric acid will be sprayed, and you will be having the leach dump of the copper ore, then that consisting of copper sulfate. Okay, that is the pregnant or metal bearing solution which consisting of copper sulfate, and this particular step it is going to the metallic scrap ion. Okay, free ion. Then the again next chamber it will go, then the copper will be going for the industrial uses. Okay, then again the copper sulfate precipitate copper as copper, and iron 3 is changed to ferrous sulfate. Okay, the ferric ion will be converted into ferrous ion, and there will be a barren solution with no copper, iron as the no copper and iron as the ferrous sulfate, and here the oxidation. This is the oxidation pond where we are having the thiobacillus peroxidans which oxidizes ferrous sulfide to Fe3++ H2SO4. Okay, along with that one, you know that the free copper also will be leached out. Okay, so that acidic leaching solution will be separated. So that is the, in fact, that is an indirect mechanism of bioleaching. So this is the role of microorganism. Okay, so that is the important step here. Okay, then this is the important aspects. Now the another important aspects is what are the major factors which are affecting this particular leaching. The same thing whatever we have discussed in the for sulfur leaching also. The physiological, microbiological and other factors, the temperature, pH, redox potential, water potential, oxygen content and their availability, carbon dioxide content, the mass transfer, nutrient availability, light, pressure, surface tension, presence of inhibitors, etc. are the physiological parameter. Microbiological parameter, the microbial density, population density, the activity of microorganism, spatial distribution of microorganism, the metal tolerance, okay, adaptation ability of the microorganism. Then the other factors are the nutrients, mineral substrate, the heavy metals, okay, the surfactant and the organic extractants. Okay, in this presence of all those things, it is identified that the process is very, very fast. Okay, so that's all, dear students, the copper leaching. Today we can conclude copper leaching. We can use copper as the introduction. We have discussed the introductory aspects of copper. Then we have discussed the bioleaching of copper derivatives, the major ores, okay, the three types of ores, okay, and what are the steps in copper leaching, that is heap leaching, solvent extraction and electrowinning. Okay, and the copper leaching, the reaction mechanism, the major ores are chalcocite, that is Cu2S leaching, then the covalent or CuS leaching, then chalcopyrite, copper iron sulfate leaching. And we have discussed the role of microorganism in the heap and dump leaching, and what are the main important factors which influencing the copper leaching process. Okay, so this is all the things, dear students. So these are the reference what we're supposed to look. Then thank you very much for listening this particular class. Okay, if you are having any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so this is all about this particular class.